All right, gentlemen. We got we're gonna start a new series today.
Cool.
Podcast. I'm excited. We have a special guest.
Whoa. Did you say special?
Special.
Put the base on red alert. Hurry, everyone. Lock it down. Poofy, ask A, attack A. Come on, let's get ready. No special's going to take over this base. I'm ready. I'm going to knock him out. Bring it.
Branson.
What?
I need. What are you doing?
The specials are invading. We have to defend the base.
No, Branson.
You said special. You
special guest.
But
there's a guest who is special, not a special.
You invited the specials here?
No,
what are you doing?
No, Branson. They are a special. They're not special. They're a very unique new guest. They're not a member of the specials.
Do you realize that you are half the reason I have therapy bills right now?
No, Branson. I am not.
Does this mean I need to pick up my underwear?
Yes, and fortunately, the special guest we have can help you with your therapy issues.
Okay,
all right,
good.
Let's go.
General Romeo coming in, begin transmission. Should you accept it now, here's your mission. Take your pilot seat and turn on your television. Logging into the Gundam Watch. What is a Gundam? We're gonna answer that question. From back in the classics to the newer expansion. Explore the lore with Dallas Moore and Branson. Welcome to the Gundam Watch. Where you got it, come and join the Gundam Watch. 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 Brought to you by Geek Devotions comes another podcast to keep your feet in motion. Listening close and see what's all the commotion. Logging into the Gundam Watch. Dallas and Branson bringing their fandom to you with the passion of the veteran instructing the new. We're diving deep, but this ain't views and reviews. Welcome to the Gundam Watch.
Hello, Gundam fans and those who would like to become Gundam fans. This is the Gundam Watch, an extension of Geek Devotions, a show from Devoted Geeks, who are devoted to letting you know that you are loved. I'm Dallas. I'm so glad you guys could join us today. Joining me on the Gundam Watch is, first off, we have our good friend, the man who is currently seeking psychological help, the man with the poofy dog, Branson Boykin.
Yes, I'm here. I'm much more settled now that I understand the focus of that word was guest and not special. By the way, Poofy never actually attacked. He was just ready to attack, so we should be good.
Right. Okay, we'll go with that, Branson. We will go with that, sir. All right, and then also we have our good man, John. How are you, John?
It's okay. Your insurance wouldn't cover the help that our special guest would be able to provide for you. Anyway.
I don't know.
At best, they would be an out of network provider, and you'd have to pay 80%.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay. Well, there we go. All right, and so speaking of our special guest, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Damara Mora. Hey, Damara.
Hi.
This is my sister. I'm excited to have her on board today. Damara, how's your day been?
I locked a dog in the bathroom. It clearly had issues.
Oh, you've met Poofy.
Yes.
He's just very misunderstood.
I think
that
a vet bill
bathroom
might be needed.
That bathroom is going to stink. Did you leave the fan on?
I did think to put the fan on, thank the Lord.
As long as you
I
didn't,
can't say anything for the hallway on the way to the bathroom.
as long as you didn't open the window to it, we'll be okay. Because we're in space.
Well, I mean,
Why did you make a bathroom with a window if we're in space?
I
Dallas?
didn't make this.
some people like to look at the stars, apparently.
for when we're on Earth, Branson. Gosh, get it right, man. This is the Shiro base. Well, Damara, you're welcome to Shiro. How did you get here on the Shiro base?
Well, I got a special and secret order from Admiral Celeste that y'all were in need of assistance regarding this new series you're about to embark on. I didn't think I'd get attacked by a farting dog on the process, but, you know, I can be repaid through lots of coffee.
Oh, we have coffee. And we also have, in your viewing pod, you'll have a taco machine, pizza, nachos, ramen, your choice of stuff. So
quesadillas.
You'll be good to go.
That was my special edition.
Oh,
I just had a thought about having a window in the bathroom in space.
Okay.
Somewhere on Earth, someone will be looking up at you as you're dropping a toozy and making a wish on you.
All right. It's going to be one of those shows, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
There is a shade at least. I wonder how many people close that shade. I have questions about you, gentlemen.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. All right. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to jump into it. We're going to be talking about a particular series, probably what Admiral was talking to you about, which was Gundam Wing, which is it's an interesting anime series. Now, Damara, you and I, we have some special love and connection for Gundam Wing. We watched it back in 1999, 2000. It was on Toonami.
Yeah, it's about the
And,
round.
It was kind of our thing.
It was. Now, we couldn't binge watch.
No.
it, obviously, because back in those days, you actually had to go through commercials and wait.
True story. Now you only have commercials if you're on Hulu. And so, but this is actually a series that came out in 1995. And this is only the second Gundam series that I can understand of that is not in the Universal Century timeline. So for Branson, I know you've only been through the Universal timeline so far.
Yeah.
I need you, when we get into this, remember, it's not connected at all to
Gotcha.
everything you've seen.
Okay.
There's some callbacks, but it's not connected. And then, John, for you, my good man, you've already been in an alternate timeline, so you're good to go. But that's kind of what's happening here. And this was kind of this is the series that kicked it off here stateside. So there's a lot of controversy about this as to whether it's actually a good series, because some people were like, hey, this is trash.
Okay. Wow.
So it's one of those things that we're going to have it's going to be an interesting conversation for us all. So any questions before we go in?
Can we drop a milk bone or something in the bathroom for Poofy in case he gets hungry?
I thought you were talking about going to use the restroom yourself just now.
Oh no, I'm good. You know.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
All right, so we're about to go into our viewing pods. We're going to give our expectations, and we're going to watch just the first 5 episodes. Just the first 5 episodes, Tamara.
I heard you.
Gundam Wing.
That ship may have already sailed. I'm sorry.
Well, we've watched it several times before. All right, let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, to the viewing pods.
All right. Expectations. Let's see here now. Honestly, I don't have any. I'm expecting some political nonsense, giant robots shooting at each other, forced relationship issues, and that's probably it.
Okay. Let's see what we got going on here. Oh, hello, Espresso Machine. This is much more intense. They certainly downplayed this. All right. Let's see. Where's this DVD? Gundam Wing, episodes 1. Okay. Let's be honest while I wait ever so not so patiently for this espresso machine to make my espresso here. I wonder if I'm going to see these characters different now. I was kind of young the first time I saw this. I wonder if my first character, my favorite character, will be my favorite again. This could get real interesting really fast. Man, I hope I don't hate the characters this round. I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. I can totally psychoanalyze characters from my childhood without ruining this, right? That's possible. Oh, the coffee's done. Okay. I can chill now. Let's get this stuff started.
All right, here we go. A brand new Gundam series. As I pull up the quesadilla machine here. What are my expectations? Oh gosh. All right. As I've mentioned before, I expect this to be a little bit like Legend of Zelda. It won't be the same story, and the stories may not even connect, but there will be repetitions of certain elements. I expect there will be a reference to the RX-78, the original suit from the Mobile Suit Gundam movie. I expect that new types will be a thing in some way in this series. I expect it to basically be a fight between 2 warring nations. They may not have the names Federation and Zeon, but it will be 2 warring nations. I'm gonna guess that there's gonna be a Char character, like someone who dresses very formally and wears some kind of mask and is a main pilot for the villain. Probably another Amuro character, some young kid who, for reasons as yet unexplained, is really good at piloting Gundam. So a lot of the similar plot elements, but not the same story. I'm expecting to be able to chew through this a little bit better because it is a series and not a movie. So I'm looking forward to being able to digest the information a little bit better. I expect it to be a little bit slower paced, and that's okay. I don't mind that. Yeah. I am curious as to why it's called Gundam Wing. Like, where does the wing part come in? If it's anything that is in any way related to the artwork in Dallas's house, it's gonna be cool. You know what? Enough talk. I can't take it anymore. It's time to get this bad boy started. Here we go.
All right. We're up here in this pod. I'm so excited about today, guys. I really am. Man, like, I got my buddies here with me. I got my baby sister with me. I'm reliving my childhood watching Mobile Suit Gundam Wing. I'm excited. My expectations are to enjoy what I'm about to experience. The question becomes, will it hold up? Will I have the same excitement the further in I get as I watch this, as I did younger? Now, I've watched it several times. I've watched it as an adult a few times. But now I'm doing this with a more of a critical eye. And at the same time, as I'm doing this, I have Mobile Suit Gundam, like original Gundam, first Gundam in the back of my head. And I have G-Witch in the back of my head. So it'll be interesting to see what parallels I'll see going through this. But for these first 5 episodes, I'm expecting a lot of action. I'm expecting it to draw me back in, just like it did as a kid. I'm just excited. So let's jump into this.
All right, we are back on the Gundam Watch, ready to discuss Gundam Wing. First part of the section, we're going to have our spoiler-free discussion. So, anyone want to chime in with their spoiler-free thoughts?
Merlina's annoying. Oh wait, that's the spoil. So, no. I'm gonna jump in.
I'm glad I.
Huh?
Go ahead.
No, I was like, I'm gonna say this, that watching this, it took me back, guys. I was having some major nostalgia, like some flashbacks watching this. So I enjoyed some of the nostalgia feelings. So what were you gonna say, John?
I'm just gonna say I'm glad I brought a couple cans of seltzer into my viewing chamber because this show is thirsty.
We'll probably get into some of that later.
I had the subtitles for the theme song on, and whoo.
He said, "Woo."
That song is a thirst trap. I mean, I couldn't figure out what it had to do with Gundam, but
I'll be honest. I watched it on the first episode just to know what the theme song was, and then I skipped the intro on every subsequent episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to get to the story.
Yeah.
I mean, just throwing my opinion in here. I can understand why this is the series that started a craze in the United States, because 5 episodes in, I'm like, wow, this is cool. Like, out of character a little bit, we also recorded today 2 episodes of The Bottom Shelf, and it was a struggle to make myself stop watching Gundam Wing so that I could watch the movies for Bottom Shelf.
Right.
Because it was that entertaining. I am so excited that this was the series we picked.
Yeah.
I am thoroughly enjoying it.
It's a good series. So, Demir?
wait,
What?
Did Branson get a pick Wing after you guys finished OG Gundam?
Yeah.
Does that mean I get to pick the next Gundam series?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a bit because there's like 50 episodes we're going to be covering.
Well, I know, but
Just out of curiosity, do you have one in mind already?
I do.
Really?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to educate the class?
I mean, I could.
So what are you thinking already?
Seed.
Oh,
Oh, that's a good one.
that is a good one. All right, so I forgot to do this. I want to read this description of Gundam Wing for those who don't know what we're talking about. And again, we will have some spoilers coming in the line, but let me just read this description from Wikipedia. It says, Mostly Gundam Wing. I'm not going to try to say it in Japanese. If you want people who do that better, go watch the Gundam podcast that's out there. I can't remember what it's called now. Oh, Mobile Suit Breakdown. But anyways, is a 1995 Japanese mecha anime series directed by Masashi Akita and written by Sumizuwa, and I'm butchering that, which means Tamino didn't work on this.
Oh, really?
The guy who created Gundam did not work on this.
Oh.
It is the 6th installment in the Gundam franchise, taking place in the After Colony timeline. As with the original series, the plot of the Gundam Wing centers on a war in the future, specifically After Colony 195, between Earth and the orbital colonies in the Earth-Moon system. And so that's the world we're dealing with here. And so let's kind of just break this down. Baron, what are some of your spoiler-free thoughts on the first 5 episodes?
Well, much like you, I felt like I was reliving my childhood a little bit,
Yeah.
just starting to watch the first 5, and that pull to just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I was not successful in stopping, but I already knew what was coming, so
Right.
it makes it harder when you have to go through. But for me, I guess going back and looking at just that first 5
Mm-hmm.
and being on the adult side of things is miraculous what you actually see in the character development in just 5 episodes, how they bring, I don't know how far I can go without being a spoiler, the Gundam pilots themselves, the depth of characterization that comes in those first episodes.
Totally.
Connecting the dots to them, in a lot of TV shows today and in other universes and everything, when we go to connect lifestyles or whatever, they don't always connect very smoothly, and it's just wonderful to see how that first 5 episodes really give you a great introduction to the Gundams, what those Gundams actually mean, and just the view of what you would consider a view of hope.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'll say this because the first 5 episodes are important. With John, I explained this to John a while back, and this is actually what got John involved. There's this thing called the Rule of 3, and the idea is it takes 3 to 5 episodes for an anime series to capture you, to make you go, this is what I want to roll with. This is what I want to listen to, watch. And so that's the reason why we did the first 5 episodes. I could not remember when we planned this out if the first 3 episodes would work or not. And so I purposely did 5 to give us ample time. From the sound of it, it sounds like it captured all of us pretty well. John, are you pretty locked into this?
I mean,
Maybe.
I'm still in the gray area. This is my first real Gundam sit down and watch situation.
Mhm.
I've tried to watch the first Gundam, but after listening to your guys' watch through, it's just, I can't do it because I know too much,
Right?
if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
And so I got about 8 episodes in on that and stopped. So it's my Gundam experience really has been this and The Witch from Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
And as our listeners have heard in previous episodes, The Witch from Mercury hooked me for all the wrong reasons for a Gundam show, I guess. So it's like I'm looking for the hook now, and I think it's going to be there in later episodes. It's just taking its time getting there.
Yeah.
For me.
Now, I will say this. This is a very different series than what you're used to and what Branson's used to. Whereas what Branson's used to, it's a singular Gundam with a singular main Gundam pilot. This is a series with 5 Gundam pilots, 5 unique Gundams, kind of pulling the whole Tokusatsu, Voltron vibe, Power Ranger vibe to it. And then like what John's used to, the one that John got in on, which was Witch for Mercury, is specifically designed to be different. The execs at Sunrise were like, hey, we're hearing that young people don't dig Gundam because they feel like it's not for them. So they built it for a modern generation, for Gen Zers. So this is going to be a different feel all around for all of us, or for you guys specifically. So any other spoiler free, because I wanted us to talk about the different characters we've met so far.
Yeah.
Any other spoiler free thoughts on what we've seen before we jump into that?
Real quick, before we do that, I need to ask the question, because I think Branson is or is going to, but Demara, have you watched any Witch for Mercury?
Actually, no.
Okay.
Okay, cool beans. Well, let's jump into some spoilers. Because again, I want to talk about the characters, and you're gonna go into spoilers when you do that. I want to encourage those of you who are listening. If you're interested in watching the show, you want to follow along with us. Episodes 1 through 5 are available in English and Japanese on Hulu, but only in Japanese on Crunchyroll if you have that. And if you have a friend that has the DVDs, I'm not sure what it's in. I think it's in English.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think there's a Japanese track on that.
There is.
Oh, okay, cool.
You have to tell it to Goo English. 'Cause
Oh.
It defaults to Japanese.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it, guys. We'll run through the 5 Gundam pilots because they're kind of the main central things. The first one is a character named Hiro Yui, whose spelling annoys the fire out of John.
That's true. I'm watching it with the Japanese subtitles, which after watching Assassination Classroom on Crunchyroll, subtitles don't bother me as much as they used to. It's just one of those things you have to adjust to.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have taken a quarter of Japanese. I am also joining Rosetta Stone to learn and become fluent in Japanese because I want to be able to watch these shows. Like, okay, like take a step behind the outside of the kimono here real quick. I have started a new journey in my life where I have gotten Crunchyroll and I've fallen down this anime rabbit hole. And now I want to be able to watch these shows without subtitles in the original recorded language,
right,
to get the full context. So I am going to be starting Rosetta Stone to become fluent. But I know enough Japanese to be dangerous. And I know that the subtitle, when it's spelled Heero, is incorrect and it bothers me.
Hero.
Well, let's because John and I got into a conversation a little bit on just kind of talking about it beforehand. And I'm okay with the spelling of it, even though it's technically incorrect, because we have to remember this is the first one that came stateside. So they had to Americanize it a little bit to make it palatable for Americans who are going to watch and then hopefully buy the mangas and read the mangas. And they didn't Americanize it to the point like Voltron, where they removed all references of them eating rice balls, if you will. But they did Americanize certain things. They Americanized the spelling of the name because, again, how would you technically spell it, John?
Hiiro.
Right. So I need you guys to picture this, and John, let me know if this connects with you. You have little Johnny, good old American-born, American pride. His underwear is American, and him and his sister go to Barnes & Noble, and they're like, we like this show on Toonami called Gundam Wing. I want to read Gundam Wing comic books, not knowing it's manga. Which is going to be a better experience for a person who's never seen anime ever, because it's, the year 2000, and it's very new for a lot of people. And he pulls a book off, which is going to be a better experience. One that is flopped, meaning they've reversed the images, because everything is in Japan is right to left, so everything's left to right with American spelling, and they see the name Hero, Heero, which they're hearing in the anime, or something that is unflopped with the spelling Hiiro, Which would be a better experience for that little Johnny who we're trying to sell to in the year 2000?
Sir, I reject the straw man argument you are putting forward.
How is this a straw man argument?
Because, first of all, when it came to the US, it was already dubbed in English, so they're not going to be reading the subtitles when it's being played on Toonami.
But that's what they're hearing.
Okay. They're hearing Hero, and they know what he looks like. Now, I don't agree that US kids are going to be so idiotic that when they see the guy in the manga, sorry for all you weebs out there.
You're one of us.
I am in the conversion process. This is correct.
He's in the conversion process.
I am in the process of converting. I am on the hormones. I just made everybody uncomfortable. No, I don't believe that people in the US are going to be so dumb that when they see the person and they see that it's spelled Hiiro in the manga, that they're going to be like, oh, his name is Hiiro. Obviously we're aware that within the English context, the letter I has multiple pronunciations because English is stupid. And and as a result, I think they'd be like, oh, that's how they spell it. And they move on with life.
I see where you're going, but you're also coming at that from 2022.
I'm not, because I took Japanese I literally took Japanese in 1998.
Sure. Majority of people have not. The majority of people would not. And the people who brought this over stateside who were working on this, they were American businessmen who wanted to make money, and they were coming on the tail end of the era where you removed everything Japanese. This was a gamble. Again, before this came out stateside, the only Gundam franchise that had attempted to come by was the terrible Doozy Bots.
Oh Lord!
From the early 90s, and
still makes me shudder.
They brought over Sailor Moon, which they changed Sailor Moon's name from Usagi to Sarina. Again, Americanizing the name. I think that this was an advance forward by calling him Hero, Heero. The spelling, again, we're arguing a semantic here of some stuff, but of calling him Hero, Heero, for all the publications. I feel like that's a advance forward from completely changing the name.
So
here's the thing. At the same time that this was coming out, we were getting the first wave of Pokemon too.
Right, which we Americanized.
Right, but we didn't change the spelling of Pokemon to Pokeemone.
We put an apostrophe to make it work.
Bro.
We did.
Honestly, without the apostrophe, I would have called it Pokemon. So, I mean, I'm thankful for the
I can tell you right now, the 7 to 12-year-olds who watched that show when it first came through did not know what an accent mark was. So
I'm just telling you. So, all right. So besides that, Hero, what did we think of this character Hero who, I just want your guys' opinions first before we.
I had to adjust myself a little bit because I went into it expecting his character to be a lot more like Amuro in the movies, and they're not alike at all.
Right.
Like, are we in? No, we're not in the spoiler section yet. Sorry.
No, we are.
Oh, we are. Okay.
Yeah.
In the first episode, passenger aircraft is in his way, and he's ready to blast through the thing just to shoot it out of the way to not have to deviate his path.
Right.
And I remember at first being shocked by that. I was like, well, wait a second. That's not what the hero's supposed to do. And then I realized, okay, this isn't Amuro.
Right.
This is someone different. So it was a little unexpected. At the same time, it did help to set it apart from the movies. It'd be like, okay, this is a completely different story.
Yeah.
So that scene just right there at the beginning, because shoot, I can't remember his name now. The main villain with
Hero.
the mask.
Shar?
Oh.
Are you talking about in this one?
Yeah, in this
Zex.
Zex. When I see Zex, I immediately thought of Char. It's
Right.
like, okay, there's a Char character, and their mannerisms and personality types seem very similar. It's the arrogant, I'm smarter than everybody in the room type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was already creating parallels in my mind. So seeing Hero be so radically different from Amuro was kind of a shock to the system, a
Right.
palate cleanser.
Yeah.
And I was able to say, okay, no, this is not the movies. This is something completely different. And that allowed me to appreciate it more, I think, because I stopped expecting the movies. I was like, okay, this is now its own thing.
Right. So with that, how would you describe? How would you describe Amuro? What kind of individual would you describe him as?
He's your typical anime protagonist, teenage boy, really desperate to do his best, like no one ever was. Sorry, wrong show. But he's weighed down by his emotions a lot, but deep in his core, there's this sense of hope. There's this sense of I'm doing what's right. I'm fighting for a cause. I have a family I have to protect, even if it's not a family of blood. We talked about the last scene of the third movie about how, he tells his weird existential outer space girlfriend, I can't go be with you because I have a family to go home to.
Right.
Hero's not that.
Right.
Hero is, I'm here to kill people.
Yeah.
Period.
Plain simple.
And I normally don't like that type of character, but I appreciate how it is so drastically different.
Right.
That I'm no longer expecting Amuro to show up in the show anywhere.
I gotcha. John, how are you perceiving Hero?
I mean, I perceive him like a stereotypical Japanese anime edgelord.
All right, define edgelord for folks.
To put it in terms, if I was to put it in D&D terms, he's the rogue that goes into the tavern where he's supposed to meet the rest of the party, and he sits in the back corner in the darkest corner of the room and just sits back and watches the room.
That's fair.
With my hood up so nobody can see my face, and I don't say a word.
Right.
I just sulk and find the exits. It's one of those. It's a trope. I mean,
sometimes I light a match and let it burn to my fingertips just so I can feel something, anything.
Sometimes I cut myself just so I can feel pain at least one more time.
Yeah.
To know that I'm still human.
Right.
That, he has kind of that effect on it. It's a little bit overwrote, but I know he's supposed to be the cool guy of the show that all the kids are like, wow, he's neat. And I'm sure they're going to open him up, in terms of Final Fantasy VII, he's Cloud.
I can see that. I can see why you're pulling that.
One thing as far as the writing, though, to kind of take it on the level that Branson was talking about, one thing I am enjoying so far in the writing is that the line between good guys and bad guys is very blurry at this point.
It is.
Yeah.
Because I'm finding myself rooting against Hero in a lot of situations because I don't really find his actions to be justified. And I am certain that at some point going forward, we kind of touched on it in the last episode, they're going to try to turn it around to show the actions of the Earth Defense Force or whatever that they call themselves.
The Alliance, United Alliance Force, something like that.
Whatever. And that's fine, but I like that. I like the Merc because I like that there is. I mean, at least at this point, there is no clear good guy, bad guy. It's
right.
They allow the viewer to choose who they identify and identify with instead of saying you need to root for this person.
Right.
Because right now I can't fault Zex.
Right.
Right.
Well, let's hold off on that because I want to finish breaking down who these characters are before we get into some of the deeper set aspects of it.
No.
Yes. Demare, so Demare, you've watched the entire series before, and we grew up on this. But what are your opinions of Hero just in these first 5 episodes? Like, I know you got some knowledge beyond this point, but how are you perceiving him now? I mean, we watched this 20 years ago originally.
We did. So I will say the perception changes over time for sure, because I think John captured exactly what you feel the first time you ever watched the series. And for me, when I was stepping into it, knowing what I actually do usually, my perception of just his character was vastly different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily negative or bad. It was more of, in that moment, if we take a step back and we go, okay, what created this first scene where he's willing to shoot down a carrier plane?
Right.
It just alludes that there has to be a backstory to create that personality to drive it there. And then through the first 5 episodes, you can see the conflict just in him, that he's driven for something, but there's other stuff that's underneath there. And his name alone has so much symbolic meaning from where it's coming from.
Right.
That I feel like that's a death with, I know from experience that you see the expanse throughout the series, and the writing behind it is very well done. But in the first 5 episodes, seeing it from that perspective, you see how much thought they took in for just those first 5 to prep into the further depths of this show.
Absolutely.
And he's definitely that image of him. He's like, when he compared it to Cloud, yeah, that's the closest thing I could compare him to. Anyways, was closer to Cloud. But at the same time, I'm looking at it going, I know where it is leading.
Yeah.
I have to stop there.
I get that. So for context, for those who are, talking about who this character is, he is a young man. The history we have that we get in episode 5, so we can talk about this, is he was trained from young to be an assassin, to be a warrior. This wasn't like a kid that was inscripted last minute. I think that's some of the difference between your thoughts on Amuro and Hero. Amuro was just a kid with a absentee father, basically, who
was really good at reading instruction manuals.
But it was established he was a scientist also. He was a very intelligent young man. Yeah. Hero was trained from young. So I've been reading. Yes.
I do want to specify on that one. Hero wasn't just trained from young. He was without parents.
Yeah.
So he was entirely forged by other people in the community he was to protect, was what formed him.
Exactly. So I've been reading episode 0, which is the manga they put out quite a while after the series ended, and it fills in some gaps. So they explained that in this world there was a leader who was kind of working to unite all the colonies named Hiro Yui, who was assassinated. Our hero is named after him. In the manga that I'm reading right now, it kind of goes into the backstory of this, and it's actually one of his early training missions that he was on. And the implication is the person who's trained him to be an assassin, and we're talking about this kid was colder than you see now, was the guy that assassinated Hiro Yui.
Oh.
This guy, that's the implication is that he was just on a mission. It's unsure if he worked for the Alliance or Oz, which is the other corporation we have in place. And he realized this was a terrible idea. And basically, but this is the context, is that he was raised to be this cold killer, not allowing things to get in the way of the mission. He is driven by the concept of the mission regardless what's going on. And so this is who this kid is. This is a young man who has grown up in war, which we're going to find out all these guys have from in one way or another. And he's hardened by it. But as what do they call it? Was it Dr. J? Was that his name? I can't remember what his name was.
I think it was Dr. J. Yeah.
But he
scientist dude.
Yeah. He said Hero's a kind-hearted young man, but he's very focused on the mission. And that's who we have, I think, in this. And I'll say this. One of my favorite parts was when he ripped up the birthday invitation from Relina.
Yeah.
where he's like, I will kill you. Like he's like walking away, like wiping the tear from her eye all of a sudden, like just smooth criminal like.
Yeah.
Like he's a bad whamma jamma. All right, so let's talk about Duo Maxwell, the pilot. Well, first off, I apologize because we do need to talk about the suits. What'd you guys think of Wing 01?
I liked it.
You liked it?
I liked it very much. Like, even before it transformed into a Gundam, when it was just a plane that looked like a bird,
Yeah,
it looked cool.
it does look pretty sweet.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie.
I enjoyed it very much.
It's a cool design, and I appreciate. To me, it's the suit that's supposed to link you most back to the original Gundam,
Yeah.
in its design, its color scheme, everything like that. There's a reason why I think a lot of people, when they think about Gundam, at least Americans, we think about that because it's just so. It's heroic.
Yeah.
I think that's the term I'm looking for. I think it's just very heroic looking. John, what'd you think of 01?
Meh.
Mid? Okay.
I mean, it checks all the stereotypical mobile suit boxes for me. I mean, it's nothing that impressed me. I mean, there was a other Gundam that we haven't gotten to yet that I was like, that's freaking dope.
Right.
We haven't gotten there yet. So.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Did y'all watch Beast Wars
Yeah.
as kids? Do you remember the episode where they went back in time and they had to fix Optimus Prime because he got damaged for some reason?
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
they had to temporarily put his spark in with Optimus Primal's spark.
Mm-hmm.
And in so doing, it like changed Optimus Primal.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
He came out with like a jetpack and wings and everything, even though he was supposed to turn into a gorilla.
Yes.
Gundam 01
Mm-hmm.
looks like what would happen if you put Optimus Prime's spark in the RX-78 from the movies.
Ah,
Like it's an upgraded
I got you.
version.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And it's not Gundam 0, it's Wing 0.
Wing 01.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wing, and I'm putting this out there for you. There's a reason why it's called Wing 01. And we'll get into
Okay.
that much later down the road.
Gotcha.
So
I think in the beginning they don't even call it Wing 01. I think
No.
they just call him 01 in the beginning.
Yeah. So Darren, what are your thoughts on 01?
So I didn't have a whole lot of expectation on 01 because I knew what it looked like.
Right.
I like that he can transform, but I'm with John. That was not the first Gundam that I fell in love with for this show. So
yeah.
sorry.
From what I was told when I was talking to Dallas when I was watching these shows, you and me are on the same page as far as the Gundams were.
Most likely. Yeah. The first favorite Gundam out of the series is probably who we're talking about next.
Yeah.
Mm.
I like 01. I think with it's the more heroic. It's just like, I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
The other Gundams are cool. I like them for various reasons, but 01 specifically is to me it's one of my favorites out of the 5 Gundams specifically. So now let's go on to, and again we're gonna try to pick up the pace a little bit, but Duo Maxwell, who we meet in the kind of at the end of the first episode, more in the second episode. Long-haired individual. I kind of related to that to a degree. But what'd you guys think of that? We'll start with the mayor. What'd you think of Duo?
Okay, so Duo was one of my
Just
favorite.
Duo, not his suit.
I'm just talking his suit. Well, no, I want to get to that one. Okay, no, his character I always thought was really fascinating. I thought as a child I felt like I identified closer with him.
Mm-hmm.
But he's very impulsive.
Mm.
But there's some deep thought that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also you see more of his age in his character than what you do in the others.
Right.
So that's the best way I can describe him, but his suit is actually what interests me a whole lot more.
I give you that. I'll give you that. What about you, Branson?
I think of all of the pilots, he was the one that I had the most fun watching.
Really?
Yeah, just because he's so playful about everything. Like the scene where he's breaking Hero out of the compound,
Yeah.
and he, when his image finally pops up on the screen, and he's got his fingers over his lips and smiling mischievously, it's like dude's just having fun.
Yeah.
And then to see the way he interacts with his crew on that hangar when they're repairing the Gundams, I don't know if he's my favorite character overall,
Mm-hmm.
but of the pilots and of the episodes I've seen, I had the most fun watching him.
Yeah. I could see that. I could totally see that. So, and I'm going to give some information about him here in a little bit. Just for context, again, as I'm reading through the episode 0. I'm not going to talk about Duo's probably the last one I'm going to talk about with you guys for his background, because the rest of them will involve spoilers for moving forward.
Gotcha.
So, but John, what do you think of Duo? Duo Maxwell.
Yeah, he's my boy.
He's your boy.
He's my boy.
Why? Why's he your boy?
It's everything Demara said, except I still relate to him on so many levels. He was the most entertaining one of the lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's just the guy.
I gotcha. He is a fun character, and he is very. He kind of reminds me of, like, if there was a Ninja Turtles, he'd be the Michelangelo character.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Uh-huh.
He's very lighthearted. He's fun. But it's like he's serious. There's a couple things about him that his back history that's really interesting to me. He grew up as an orphan on one of the colonies, and as an orphan, he was taken into a church as a kind of orphanage type of situation. Mm-hmm. Really saved off the streets by the priest, whose name was Maxwell. And the nun that was there, she's the one that braided his hair for the first time.
Oh.
So his persona of the kind of the priestly outfit that he wears, his name Maxwell, and the hair braid is in honor of them.
Oh, cool.
Because as a child, what happened was, again, he's trying to do his own thing. He does struggle with belief in God. All he's ever seen is death. So he believes in there is definitely a god of death, which is why he calls his Gundam the god of death. Mm-hmm. But he's kind of out for revenge. In the show, in the manga, there's a big battle that takes place. This is right at the beginning of the war. The Alliance comes in. They're fighting some rebellions who are trying to fight for the peace of the colonies. And some people come in, and he's like, look, if you guys want a Gundam, and it's actually the Resistance Force, he's like, if you want a mobile suit, I'll get you a mobile suit. Now, he's like 10.
Right.
He runs off, and he steals the suit. Or he tries to. By the time he gets back, though, the church has been blown up. And they're all dead.
Yeah.
And so this whole thing, to a degree, is a level of revenge. I'm not going to explain to you how he got to this point, because that's going to be spoilers for you guys. But that's who he is. And it's really kind of sad, but also just really interesting seeing these elements come out of him. So that's Duo Maxwell. What did we think of his suit, the Death Sight, Demara?
Okay, the Death Sight is one of my top 2 absolute favorite Gundams in this series.
Yeah.
I have always loved Death Sight. I thought it was the features that he has, I loved. They're very dynamic, and they are very connected to him as a character. And I think across the board, I think we got so much more of a connection on that Gundam. Now, granted, some of the other characters, there's a deeper connection that goes with their Gundams too, but Death Sight was just so hugely symbolic in a connection to Duo Maxwell.
Yeah. Totally.
So, and that's all I'm going to say about that one.
Cool. All right. What about you, Branson?
I mean, I thought it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I liked, in general, the idea of each pilot having their own Gundam.
Right.
That was a reflection of them. So I liked the idea of there being a Gundam that looked completely different from the others. It had a completely different weapon system.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was my standout. Yeah, that's awesome. But I appreciated the look of it.
Right, yeah.
It definitely seemed like it was the more deadly of the 5. Just trying to think back to the fight scenes I remember seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did the most damage.
Yeah, I think he's definitely the most infighting style version.
Yeah, he's less rockets and bullets and more, I'm going to get up in your face.
Yeah.
And...
Whereas 01 is more of an all-rounder. This is definitely your infighter.
Mm-hmm.
So how about you, John? What's your thoughts on Death Sight? You didn't like it, did you?
Shut up. It's the same thing, the same reason why Darksiders 2 is my favorite of that video game series. There's just something about the personification of death, and it's just like, let's bring that to the party and see how it plays with others. And it resonated with my creepy weirdo side. I
Mhm.
mean, if I'm being honest, it's the same part of me that likes H.P. Lovecraft. It's just like, yeah, let's dive into this dark psyche of whatever. And I think in combination with this upbeat character that is this Gundam's pilot, the juxtaposition between the hey, I'm buddy, and then his Gundam is the personification of death. It's
Mhm.
like there's a certain duality, and I look forward to exploring that contrast a bit deeper.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I am on board for that specific Gundam. Like,
Yeah.
for all the Gunplas I've been thinking about doing and that I've been talking about, that one's probably the one I'm most likely to start with.
I can say, because I built Death Sight for you, Tamara. As far as the Gunpla go, the high grade's a pretty decent build for you for beginners. So rock that out. And you're right. I like the fact you bring out the duality. Ironically, his name is Duo of who he is. And like I said, when I was talking about his backstory, the fact that he was an orphan and that some of this is simply a level of revenge, you see that. In fact, when he was in the orphanage, the nun, she kind of called out, like, he's such a pure individual, but he has this rage on the inside because he doesn't like the injustice he sees going on. And so, and I'm kind of with you guys. Like, he's a fun character to be with, but his Gundam is so slick. And so, like you said, deadly. I mean, it's a force to be reckoned with for sure. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is Wu Fei. What did you guys think about Wu Fei? We'll start with John this time.
You're gonna have because I'm watching this with subtitles, I have a hard time associating audible names with people.
Right.
So you're gonna have to remind me of who that is real quick.
Wu Fei was the one with the slick black hair. He out of all of them that
was
were
this
Asian,
was this the misogynist kid?
He was the one that was like, it's a woman, that's why she's angry at me.
Right, the misogynist. Okay, yeah. I mean, my statement there kind of wraps up my opinion of him. Is he competent in what he does? Yes. Is he somebody that I think is a cool character? Like, yeah, I want to be like him. No, nothing he does nothing he does resonates with me. He's very misogynistic with his outlook. And he's kind of a jerk.
He is. And I don't want to get into his backstory. There is explanation for some of it, but there's episodes ahead that I want to get into. But what'd you think, Bretson?
I guess I'm going to have to kind of echo what John said. To me, he was kind of, maybe it's because of his misogynistic attitude, but to me, he was kind of forgettable. Like, of all the characters, like when you said his name, I had to look up what he looked like to even remember who he was. And then when I saw the picture, I was like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
What was his Gundam again?
Yeah.
And then I had to look that up. I mean,
he's not very present in the first 5 episodes.
Maybe that's part of it. I don't really know or care enough about him to have an opinion, really. He was just kind of there.
Right.
I remember him making she's a woman, that's why she's mad at me comment. I guess I didn't necessarily take that as a misogynistic, as just a very cold, calculated, she is a woman, therefore she has more emotions than a man, therefore the reason she is angry,
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I didn't connect with him. He just seemed to have like zero emotion.
Yeah.
He was a robot.
I say that doesn't change. What'd you think of Wu Fei, Tamara?
Well, I mean, he was never fully my favorite. There is some character development, but he is one of those that they designed his character where you had to be very mindful of what words were actually leaving his mouth to see the development change on him. I don't really have a whole lot to say. I mean, he's not very well developed, honestly, in the first 5 episodes. At all. So, I mean, I feel like I'd be doing injustice.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
In the first 5 episodes, he just seems like this very angry, like, emo, like, stop picking on me, I'm going to stab you in the face. Now, I'll say this, I did like the design for his Gundam, Shenlong. I thought that was kind of cool with the little dragon thing coming off of it. And, like, out of all of them, it felt like the most cultural styled Gundam out of all of them, which was this kind of like this Chinese warrior.
Was he the one with the retractable arm?
Yes.
Yeah, the
Okay,
little dragon
yeah.
arm. That
I
comes
thought
up.
that was cool.
Yeah,
And again, this harkens back to what I said before with Death Scythe. I like that all the Gundams had their own weapon style.
mm-hmm.
And I thought that was cool that he had this retractable arm. It kind of had a scorpion feel to it.
I can
you
see
know?
that.
Get over here.
Branson, I feel remiss. You completely missed it. You missed your opportunity there. Not weapon style. Each one had their own Gundam style. What is best is the fact that Demara saw it coming and she was powerless to stop it. And I love that.
I have to admit, it was coming, and he needed to hear it.
Right? That's so funny. Well, John, what'd you think of Shenlong?
I'll be honest with you. I forgot what his Gundam looked like.
I think that's the problem. Is it was a very, like, in these first 5 episodes, it's not very. He did have that long fight with Noin, in that one episode, but that was about it.
Yeah.
That lady annoyed the ever-loving crap out of me too.
Noin?
Like,
Let's get into Noin here in a little bit. We'll talk about Noin here in a little bit. So okay. So again, outside the kind of the cool design, it seemed kind of forgetful. What'd you think of Shenlong, Demare?
So I did like his Gundam design. I will admit his Gundam design was pretty cool. I think his operation of the Gundam is on full display in pieces of episodes. I don't think we get to see the depth of what Shenlong was actually capable of.
No.
I do like his respect towards that Gundam. It was not necessarily just a tool for him. It was something that had to be respected.
Mm-hmm.
And the respect of life was definitely there. I will say that was more apparent on him in the first 5 episodes, and I feel like that grows on the other characters, but his was like right from the beginning.
Yeah.
You saw that.
I gotcha. Well, what about Troa Barton? He was the one that had like the long hair that we saw. He had heavy arms, the one that had more guns that knew what to do with. What'd you think of Troa?
He was probably I think he's one of my favorite characters simply because there's very few times in animation you see a depth of a character with the way they made him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not the most expressive person on the planet.
Right. Now, we don't get into that depth, though, in these 5 episodes.
Yeah, it develops over time, but he's still one of my favorite ones. But the difference between the two, between him and his Gundam, I didn't think they aligned very well. Let me put it that way.
Right. I gotcha. What'd you think, Branson?
Honestly, not much about him stands out to me outside of when he meets the blonde-haired kid.
Mm.
And the names escape me.
Catra.
Catra. When he meets Catra and they meet on the battlefield,
Mm-hmm.
and Catra has that "we shouldn't be fighting" attitude,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of become buddies at
Yeah.
that point. That's when I really started paying attention to him.
Right.
I think my only real complaint about these first 5 episodes is so much was introduced so quickly.
Right.
I kind of lost track of everybody. And I know if you're watching a series over the course of a long time, you'll have a chance to get to know everybody. But he didn't really stick out in my mind until he met the other guy and was like, "We shouldn't be fighting."
Right.
So I'm reserving judgment on him, I guess.
That's
until
fair.
until I can
Wait.
know more about him.
That person that he fought was a guy? I thought it was a girl.
The blonde-headed dude?
The one that's like, we shouldn't be fighting. And
Yes,
gave
that's a dude. That's a young man.
I thought it was a girl.
Nah, dude.
The one that plays the flute?
Yep.
Yep.
That's a dude. Are you having like a Hanson moment where you realize it's a dude?
That chick's a
Wow,
dude?
what just happened?
Yes, that is a dude. In fact, just
Dude looks like a lady. Sorry.
I'll say this, that this is the one spoiler I will give from the comics. He is the only boy in his family. He was raised by his father, and I think he has 23 sisters. And he
looks like a sister.
So yeah. So what'd you think of Troa, the other guy, the guy we were talking about originally?
Much in the same way that Homeboy's mech was forgettable, that character was super forgettable for me. If I remember right, he doesn't say a lot,
Right.
but I don't know if I remember right because I've forgotten pretty much everything he does outside of what his mech looked like.
I think that's the problem with this particular series. We have 5 main characters, and we're having to it can only show so much of each one. These first few episodes really did center around the establishment of Hero, Relina, and Zex Marquise, and that's really about it. The other ones are kind of brought in. They are developed down the road, but and Duo a bit also.
Yeah.
I'm about to say Duo's got a little bit more in that forefront
Right.
Yeah.
in the first 5 episodes, but like you said, there's not a lot in the
Yeah.
first 5.
Now,
about the
I
others.
liked his Gundam, the Heavy Arms. Just because his Heavy Arms to me is like, it is the anime version of Rambo. It just has guns everywhere. It's and he's just blowing stuff like, and it's such a weird like picture this is like, I'm here to just mow everything down. He's just like, I'm here. Like, it's like a Tuesday for him. He's like, la la, just doing my job. Like, are you mowing the yard, dude? What's happening? No, you're mowing down an army. What'd you think of Heavy Arms, John?
My second favorite Gundam.
Really?
Yeah. For the exact opposite reason why Death Scythe was my first favorite. Like, Death Scythe was like elegant and minimalist almost to a certain degree, where Heavy Arms is more like, I'm here to FSU, basically. I don't know if that's an arable abbreviation, but
I don't know what it means, so
Demara did, and she didn't want to say it.
Demara's more worldly than me.
Tamara
I'll
works with more worldly
rephrase
people
that.
than you.
I'll rephrase that. It's very much a mentality of, I'm here to mess stuff up.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. I'm following you. Yeah, it definitely is. He is to put it in gaming terms, he's the tank.
Absolutely. And I would to make it a little bit more of an allegory, I would say, like, where Death Scythe is like the samurai with a katana. You know, there's a certain elegance and beauty to it. Heavy Arms is like a general with an atom bomb.
I can see that.
It's not there. The point isn't any certain amount of aesthetic so much as it is, I'm here to not only ruin one person's day, but probably an entire country's day.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to go out for a coffee.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Branson, what'd you think of Heavy Arms?
I think Heavy Arms is the kind of Gundam you want to use when you want to make a really cool music video to a rock song. You know, that seems to me the purpose of Heavy Arms is
Right.
to, you know, at least for visual sake. It was okay. I mean, you know, I certainly remembered it more than what was the
Shinlong.
Shenlong. Yeah. I remembered what Shenlong could do. I couldn't remember Shenlong's
Name.
anything. Yeah. So I mean, and I think that plays a little bit more into the robot fighter idea. You would expect a robot fighter to have lots of guns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, it was cool. It had its moments.
Yeah. Demare?
Okay, so I've been sitting here thinking, how do I say this without more? I'm gonna say he to me in the first 5 episodes, I saw him more as the quiet anchor,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all I can say. Sorry,
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
as far
Branson.
as I can go.
Yes, sir.
I just had a thought as far as Heavy Arms is concerned with your music video thing.
Yeah.
And this'll harken back to our conversation we had on the bottom shelf in regards to Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Imagine Heavy Arms with the theme song from like Hulk Hogan's entrance.
Yes.
That would be
Exactly.
interesting.
Right?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so our last official Gundam. pilot and Gundam. That is Quattro Rabano, whatever it is, winner with Sandrock. Again, just for time's sake, we're going to combine these. Mary, what'd you think of Quattro and
Catra.
Catra? Sorry, Catra. I'm thinking of
Spanish.
No,
Quattro?
there's another character named Lieutenant Quattro in Gundam Zeta, and I've been watching Zeta on my own. So, Demara, what did you think of Catra?
Catra, I think, has got more of a moral compass on full display in the first 5 episodes than I think you see of the others.
Yeah.
I think he is emotionally more expressive, which is obvious that he grew up with sisters at that moment when you really look at his backstory compared to how he expresses himself versus all the others.
Right.
But the fact that he has this whole group of people that are with him is a little bit different than the other Gundams. He's not as isolated as the other Gundams seem to be.
I gotcha.
So as far as his Gundam, I actually thought this was a Gundam that matched the character really well.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to stop with.
I gotcha. Ranson, what'd you think about Catra and his Gundam? Sandrock.
Sandrock. I got to agree with Demira. He's the only one where Gundam and pilot seem to merge. Because Hero is not the most heroic. Duo is not the most grim, dark, evil, whatever. You know, I would expect Hero to pilot heavy arms. I would expect Duo to be more 01-ish. I'd expect. I can't remember names.
Wu Fei
to do.
Well, you don't even know. You don't even know his personality
Exactly. See, but anyhow, I think those two are the most paired. I identified with his optimism the most. Part of me is a little apprehensive that that's going to be put to the test throughout the series. Usually when people are the heart and soul of the team, that gets tested. Either the heart and soul dies or the heart and soul gets seriously corrupted. So I'm trying not to get too attached to the way he is right now, because I fully expect him to change later. But as of right now, I connect the most with his optimism. I very much appreciated that of all of the pilots, he was the one that was kind of able to read the situation and stop, what's his face? Troa, and say, hey, we shouldn't be fighting. We clearly have the same goals in mind. We should be working together. So I appreciated that he had the wherewithal to do that. I think in a way that Duo tried with Hero, but Hero just wasn't having it. He's like, okay, yeah, I'll use your hangar. I'll let myself heal in your hangar, and then I'll steal your parts to fix my Gundam.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, I identified with him the most, I think, but I'm trying not to get too attached because I don't expect him to last long.
I give you that. John, how about you?
I believe, well, first of all, we heard my initial response was, that chick's a dude? But outside of that, he's got the reverse problem as the pilot of heavy arms for me. Meaning, like, I remember apparently the guy, not the girl, but I remember the guy, don't remember their Gundam very well. Very forgettable. So
yeah, you don't get a lot of heavy arms action in this just yet. Not heavy arms, Sandrock just yet. I did think it was interesting that he's the only character that has an army with him. And I remember watching, I was like, man, is this, what is happening here? Because he's very regal. He's like, you can tell he's somebody who's very important. According to the manga, these guys are people that he basically helped saved after they kidnapped him. So in this universe, while we conquered or the space and built these colonies, because of the space living, childbirth was not the greatest, and they had a lot of defects, a lot of death. So a lot of people turned to basically test tube in their kids, and which is why Catra is the single boy out of 23 girls.
Oh.
What the catch is this: what Catra does not realize is that he's not a test tube baby. But he is also the reason why his mother died. But he doesn't know all this just yet. He just thinks that his dad just test tube all these babies. So in the manga, he's a very, very bitter, very angry, spoiled young man who has some traits of Troa, of this whole I'm nobody, no one important. Da, da, da. You heard Troa say, I'm no one, but if you need to call me something, call me Troa Burton.
Yeah.
There's some spoilers in his backstory. But basically, literally, he has no name.
Oh.
He doesn't know his actual name. He has taken the name Troa Barton, but that's not his name.
Oh, okay.
Catra had the same mindset of I'm nobody, and he meets all those soldiers are also test tube babies.
Ah.
And through altercation with them, he found value in life. Realized just because the fact that he's alive is why he can do what he can do. That he has a purpose, and so that's kind of his thing. So when he meets Troa, he sees something in Troa that is sparked, and he's like, I need to help this guy. That's why there's a connection between the two of them, because he sees this lostness in Troa that is now here. All right, so these are the characters we have. Hopefully this explains stuff. Because of the time frame we do this, depending on how long this next segment goes, this episode may be cut into 2 parts of explanation of characters. And this one, I want to bring out one last character I want to talk about before we get into that, like what happened in the series. And that is an unofficial Gundam pilot, Zechs Marquise, and the Tallgeese. Because the Tallgeese, because we learned in the first few episodes, is the basis for all the Gundams. It has the same battle system, some of the same materials. It's older than the Gundams. It was the prototype for all intents and purposes. And it's my favorite Gundam.
Yes.
It's my favorite Gundam at this point. I love the Tallgeese.
one?
Yes.
To make a correction, is your favorite Gundam of all time because it's just your favorite first Gundam, but is your favorite above all time?
Yeah. So there's a lot more to this one. You'll see down the road. It's just there's a regalness to this one, and there's a properness, and then Zechs brings this almost European romantic view of chivalry and stuff like that. Even though he's kind of the bad guy at the same time, I enjoy his character to a degree. Down the road, there's some conversations that take place, but I enjoy this character, and I enjoy that Gundam. That I love the Tallgeese. It is like I said, my favorite mobile suit in the series that we have right now. So yeah, that putting it out there. There's just something about it. Again, Zechs brings this like weird like regalness to everything. Everything he says, like there's this level of like I'm smooth, I'm cool. Like I wish I could be as smooth as Zechs was. I'll say that like his American voice actor kind of jazzes up things a little bit more. Like he's a little more like, yeah, how's it going? And then the Japanese one. But there is something about this that I rather enjoy. John, you seem so surprised. What's your thoughts on Tallgeese?
Bland with a side of bland. It's like unseasoned boiled potatoes, man. I mean,
you'll see more of it coming down the road. It'll make more sense down the road.
Well, maybe, but all I've got is the 5 episodes. Tamara.
Look, I agree with John in the first 5 episodes. You don't see why Tallgeese is so magnificent right now. He just looks like a
He's just
archaeological find is what he looks like right now, with no information. So I mean, I get y'all's perspectives, but I 100% understand why he landed at Dallas's top favorite Gundam, because it's a very interesting machine.
Yeah, it is.
And I knew going into this show that was your favorite.
Right.
So I knew there had to be a reason why it was your favorite of all of them. So I guess for me, there was a sense of anticipation. Like, I want to hurry up and get to where they actually activate Tallgeese. Right. So I can see him do things. Yeah, yeah. So if I did not have that, if I did not have that knowledge that it was your favorite one, I could see, I'd probably be like with John, was like, it's a mothballed project. How is it awesome?
So just thought experiment. Which Gundam do you guys think I would pick if it was not Tallgeese?
Heavy Arms.
Heavy Arms? Really? Why Heavy Arms?
You strike me as being either Heavy Arms or Long Fang or whatever his name is.
Long Fang.
Shang Li. Oof.
Sing Long.
Okay. Interesting.
Heavy Arms because you strike again. I unless I have more information, I view everything through a D&D
Right.
perspective, and you strike me as wanting to be either more the samurai or the tank.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Branson?
I would almost say Death Scythe just because it is the more hand tactical,
Mm-hmm.
and that seems to fit. Like if there was a Gundam that had a samurai sword, it would be that one.
Yeah.
Death Scythe is about as close as we get.
Right.
Not necessarily because it's the death one or because it's the emo one, but because it's the one with the closest thing to a sword we
Right.
have.
I get that. So how about you, Demara? You know my answers, but like, what would
I
you
know
pick?
the list.
Yeah, just these 5, not the ones that come down the road.
But I mean, I know the list even that includes another member of the 5.
Right.
So I feel like I can't accurately answer that. I can say that growing up, I think we both kind of fell in love with 01 because it's the first one, and
Yeah.
there's just
Something about that.
there's just something about it. I think we had a hint that something may come because we're weird like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I already knew it was gonna be 01 was second in just the 5 if we ranked them.
Right.
But you've had an appreciation for all of them. You even like Shenlong to an extent on what he can do. But if we had all 5 with Tulgis in the list, it was always Tulgis 01 right off the bat, right
Right.
up underneath it.
Cool.
Dig it.
01's my favorite, so
I gotcha.
I'm with you there.
Cool beans. Hey guys, Dallas here, cutting into the feed real quickly. Because of the length of this episode, and because we try to have a kind of a target range of the conversation as far as how long it goes, we're actually going to split this episode into 2 parts. So what you just listened to is part 1, which was more of a conversation about the pilots and a few expectations and everything like that. But next episode's coming out here next week. That's right, next week. We'll have the continued conversation where we actually dive into what happened in the show, what happened in these first 5 episodes, including our maintenance reports. So I appreciate you guys hanging out for being part of our episode today. We do want to give a special thank you to Demara, my sister, for who's joining us for this conversation. John Haryu also he's the guy who does our intro, by the way. If you guys don't know, John is a phenomenal musician, an artist, and the lyrics are done by our friend AC, who did a great job. And then, of course, Branson. I'm so thankful to have Branson along for this trip. Just kind of a personal note for you guys. This project is something that is kind of a passion for me. I genuinely love Gundam. It means a lot to me. You guys can discover that in the next episode a little bit more, but also just as long as more of my sister and I talk. This is something my sister and I shared. Which is why Gundam is so important to me, is because it's something my sister and I shared together. And I have a lot of great memories, specifically with Gundam Wing. But we hope you guys enjoy this journey we're about to take through Gundam Wing. I do want to invite you guys to make sure you check out all of our social medias. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Look for The Gundam Watch. We'll pop up pretty easily on all those platforms. Do me a favor and also leave a review on this podcast and share it out if you enjoyed, if it encourages you, if it inspires you in any way. The entire point of this, it's not just for us to talk Gundam and to talk about this thing that we enjoy, which we do, but it's to let you guys know you're loved, let you know that you're cared for. There's a plan and a purpose for your life. And that's why we're here. That's why we do what we do across the board with everything with the Geek Devotions Network. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much. Oh, one last thing I forgot to mention. We're going to be doing a contest coming up. I forgot what we're calling it. I think we're calling it A Very Gundam Christmas. And we're inviting people to send in a 3-paragraph long kind of pitch for a Mobile Suit Gundam Christmas special. Sunrise is giving you full budget to do whatever you want to do. We're going to have some more details coming up to you guys in the next couple of weeks in a separate post. But just kind of let that germinate. What would you do if you had the ability to make any kind of story involving Gundam that's a Christmas special? So, all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay devoted, peace, and love.